This is Mike CROSSEY at NAMM 2016, and you're watching Burl TV. My name is Mike CROSSEY. I work as a record producer and mixer, based out of London and Los Angeles. I've come to rely on the mothership for all my conversion because it's just a really solid, trustworthy piece of equipment. It sounds awesome, and you just don't even have to think about conversion. It just becomes an invisible thing that you know is handled in a perfect way. And that's it. I'm happy with that. My converters are sorted, and that's all I need is a Burl mothership. I think that's a nice feature of the Burl, is you can choose to either keep it really transparent, and you know, sometimes when I was doing it, when I was evaluating it the first time I got it, I couldn't tell the difference between it, and I thought the Burl might be the Lavery Gold, for example, when I was hitting it quiet, because it was just super clean and super articulate and, you know, really transparent. But then if you want to get a bit more color, you can push the inputs a little harder for certain projects, especially if you're working with rock drums. You know, you can get some real nice color just by pushing that a little bit tougher.
Hey everybody, it's Lance Keltner at the NAMM Show 2016 convention at the Burl Audio booth, and found out about Burl 2 years ago when I was doing demos for Vintage King Audio in Nashville. Darren there said, try these converters when we do these demos, and I do a lot of product demo videos for high-end guitar and amp manufacturers, and I do a lot of records, and for the first time ever I went to mix, and I did not need to do any doctoring on the channels as far as plugins to make my guitar tones sound more analog. I actually didn't use anything except what I'd cut with, and that's like incredible for me to have that happen. And so my engineer, Kelly Donnelly, who also works with Eric Johnson, picked up the mothership for the studio that we're working at. So we're using SSL Duendo console, but we're using Burl audio converters, and I've never had better sounding results in my entire life. So if you're an engineer, producer, if you're a musician who has a studio at home, you really owe it to yourself to check out the Burl converters, because it will change your life. It's actually better than analog. It's better than 2-inch tape, and it's something you'll never regret.
I'm Joel WANASEK with NailedTheMix.com, Drum Forge, and the Joey Sturgis Forum podcast. I'm also a producer and predominantly a mixer. I've been using Burl audio for quite a few years now. I have a mothership. I have a 12-in by 16 out. It's one of my favorite pieces of gear, I would say, out of all of the equipment that I have. The mothership was by far one of the best investments I've ever made. My introduction to the mothership, I shot out a bunch of converters many years ago. I got some Apogee and Lynx, and I got the B2 Bomber in, and I tested them all. I think it was Vintage King or Sweetwater that I had got them from, and when I heard the Burl, I was like, oh my God, that sounds amazing. I want to see what the hype was all about. And so I ran some mixes through it, and I sent it over to a buddy of mine who runs a label that I do a lot of work for, and he was like, what did you change on your mix? Because I just reamped it through the Burl. Like, I didn't change anything on the mix. I just ran it back out through my summing mixer, hit the Burl, and I didn't say anything. I just sent him the mix, and he was like, so what did you change? I've never heard your mixes sound so good. And I'm like, well, I'm trying out some new converters. And he was like, well, whatever it is, that's amazing, keep it. So then the band called me back, and they didn't know either, and they're like, dude, what'd you change on the master? And I'm like, well, I'm just trying out some new converters. And they, of course, had no idea what that was, but so it was really interesting, because I had that understanding when I was sitting there, and I was like really blown away by the product. And what got me is that two people that I told that have pretty decent ears, like the client and the label guy that I've done a lot of work for, they noticed it right away, and I didn't even tell them. So that was kind of like a really good affirmation. So the bottom line is I sent all the other converters back. I kept the Bomber, had it for about a year, and then decided to take the plunge, and I got the mothership, and I use it into a summing mixer. I got like a Tonalux and an SSL Sigma. And by far my favorite set of converters. The Burl stuff is really awesome, amazingly made, and the best customer support you're gonna find.